Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So, we are onto the Tier 5 War Dogs, the Wild Wolves, I believe they're called. They are indeed. So I'm still using Boudica. I haven't yet got Arminius up a little bit, so I want to try and get Arminius up at least to Tier 4 to compare sort of Arminius and Boudica. Although currently I really enjoy playing as Boudica. She seems to suit the War Dogs quite well. Rebellion's quite a nice little move at Tier 5. You can sort of apply it onto your allies as well, and I do enjoy your charge. Fury is a really nice charge, particularly that 4-second duration, and the really high impact damage modifier. It means you can do quite a lot of damage with quite light infantry. So I am running my Tier 5 War Dogs with the incentives buff. It's only a short-term consumable, it only runs for 15 seconds, but just gives your War Dogs the extra little bit of attack and damage, which can make all the difference when you're sort of in a crucial moment of a fight. It can be quite handy, so I quite like that. I've not got them fully upgraded. I've obviously got the iron sword that you get for the handlers, which I had from the previous unit, and I've so far unlocked the stout buckler and the first harness upgrade, which gives sort of movement speed and charge impact. We'll get a bit further on. Next, the final thing that I'm probably going to unlock is whistle training, which is more weapon damage for the dogs and a more impact charge damage when they do that initial first charge in. So I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, I must say I've been really enjoying them. It's very hard to compare the statistics. Obviously the dog statistics don't have anything else equivalent to compare against. But I must say, yeah, really enjoyable, the War Dogs. There's something quite fun about having access to the two units. So you got sort of that access to speed from the dogs if you encounter archers or any sort of ranged unit. You can send the dogs charging off, and they have a really long unleash range, which is great. And they can always charge down the archers, and as units run away, they do a lot of damage. I also like the fact that you can target, if you're targeting a unit that doesn't have access to shield blast, so any pikes or hoplites that aren't controlled by Leonidas, when they're in hoplite in phalanx formation, the dogs will be able to attack them and dodge the phalanx so they don't receive any damage. They also avoid things like stakes, so for running through and attacking artillery players, they are absolutely excellent. So yeah, really enjoyable, really like them. So that's all to say. Let's hop into a replay and see how we got on. So we have loaded in on the Battle of the Rubicon. I've picked sort of to spawn in with the barley fields down to sort of one end of the map. I quite like it when you spawn on this side because you get access to this initial sort of scouting post, which is really dominant in this part of the map because it gives you full visibility over the enemy units who are on this side of the map, but I don't really get anything equivalent on the other side of the map, so it's a bit of a strange setup. I don't know why they've done it like that. From the off we can see we've got some archers to worry about, which are quite a threat, and some enemy light artillery, which can be a real pain. The archers get an initial barrage off against our friendly cavalry, and we've got some tier 5, what must be Principes are they? Yes, pushing across the river. But we've got our own Principes in support, and the cavalry actually get quite a good initial move attacking these archers, but the light artillery sends in one of its sword soldiers in support, and I start to move down to see if there's anything I can do to help. I'd kind of like to be able to get these archers out of the game early on, but I'm also worried about the threat of these Principes down to the south. So I release my dogs, which largely engage the enemy Principes, but we also start to recruit a bit of damage on the enemy archers as well. And because it gives them the engagement mechanic, it means that they can't start firing arrows at us. I then pull my handlers back into the long grass because we've obviously got these Romans. Then seeing we've got more friendly cavalry support charging in with some Roman Celeres, I charge one of my units into the flank of this bulk of group of Romans while trying to hang one back to give me a bit of flexibility. Fortunately, start getting peppered by this blimmin' light artillery, which does quite a lot of damage to me. But as one of the Roman units it actually routes through my units, so I bring this third dog handler back in to start to tackle these Principes. Unfortunately, my dogs are having a bit of a hard time over here, so I bring them back because I didn't really mean them to get quite so prolonged engagement in with these Roman swords. But as they come back, they are able to also get stuck in against these retreating Romans, and we basically managed to single-handedly wipe out that entire unit of Roman infantry with these dog handlers. It's a really good start to the game, gives us a lot of experience and aggression, and also gives us a lot of support points since we were supporting that friendly cavalry. I felt I was about to get outflanked by these two units here, and you know, I'm not really supposed to be getting stuck into a prolonged engagement, so I pull back behind the cover from these friendly Roman infantry, who then gets charged in and gets stuck in over there. We did lose a unit, and we took quite a lot of losses for our early game. You know, both of our units down to 50%, and our dogs have taken an awful lot of casualties now. Our cavalry does a good job of driving the enemy architects back across the river, the enemy light artillery, and I clear back round behind the Romans, which gives me free rein. And I think, oh well, sod it, since these guys are unmanned and no one's paying attention, we get a nice charge off against these archers. It demonstrates how effective Fury is. Like, I don't think there's actually a single archer left standing in that entire lot. It basically wipes them out completely, and then as they stand, look at that, just get absolutely massacred. So I just wanted to kill off this last unit of archers before getting out of here, because these Principes have turned up, and I don't want to be standing around to fight these, but we're quicker than the Romans, so we can run away without too much problem. These don't pursue us, which is an error on their part really, which gives me free just to make sure that these guys are definitely dead over here. We just rear flank these remaining people just to get them to rout completely, as our allies finish off the Romans on the other side of the bridge. So after doing that, I think it might as well be best to push back across the river. I'm sort of just deciding which way I wanted to go, whether I wanted to come back to base to support over here, but I saw we had quite a few units over here defending, so I didn't think it was something we needed to worry about too much. So we have some enemy cavalry and our cavalry over here, and we've also got the enemy Principes, one unit that's still alive. And I saw that the enemy light artillery, their architects, ran over in this direction. So I thought, well, I don't really want to engage a full unit of Principes with my sort of fairly damaged dog handlers. So we'll head off into the long grass, see if we can find these enemy light artillery. We're probably running quicker than them, particularly through the long grass, so I thought we might stand a chance of finding them. Unfortunately, that does not quite plan out, and I didn't see them. I don't know where they actually ended up going. Maybe we'll see them in this replay. I mean, they might have headed into the long grass over here, maybe, or something like that, or they pushed right the way around to move up to provide sort of overwatch on their own base, perhaps. So I push around here just to initially avoid these Principes, and then, well, pushing around here now, and we get spots on them from our allies. At this point, I was pinging this guy, turn around, watch out behind you, pay attention, because this guy's trying to force an engagement. And thankfully, our ally realises, and I think the enemy thought, oh, I don't necessarily want to be in this engagement. So they go, this is obviously a Sulla commander, so he goes for Fortify. Doesn't look like he's activated Prescription though, which is probably an error. Engages this guy, which gives me a nice opportunity for a nice flanking. So we use our Fury charge, get a bit of damage in there, not loads, but we get the rear flank. And you know, our handlers are actually, between the dogs, we can start to rack up quite a lot of damage pretty quickly. So I mean, these guys are actually no slouches in combat. There might not be that many of the Barbarian warriors, but when they're combined between them and the dogs, they're very effective. And these guys nicely rout, and then just get finished off by the combined weight. The enemy Celeres do charge in, but they largely hit into the Romans, who sort of counter-charged them, so it wasn't really very effective, and we don't take too many losses there. And actually our dogs do quite a lot of damage to these cavalry, even as they then try and pull out of the combat. To give these enemy legionaries a chance to Principes and then a chance to reform, but they're out again and they're gone already. It doesn't really help them. So, we've had a pretty good game so far. We've got 2-7 on the aggression and quite a lot of support points were leading the team. So it's just a case of really pushing onto the enemy base. Looking at what we've got these enemy pikemen, yes, got it the right way around, who are here, who are sort of covering the enemy base, which is doing quite a good job because we don't really have much in the way of archer support. So I was coming down thinking, well, I've got a few dogs here, and if these guys want to stay in phalanx mode, then my dogs will be quite effective against them because they won't be able to hurt me. And then foolishly, for some reason, I thought I'd just running across the open thinking, cavalry won't charge me, we'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong? And then the cavalry, of course, does charge me. Oh, and it was actually very effective. And not unsurprisingly, you know, some loose formation barbarian warriors against cavalry. Of course, it's going to be quite effective. But the main upshot of that, which was the most annoying, was the fact it did a lot of damage to my dogs. Or basically killed my dogs entirely. And while we actually probably did the equivalent amount of damage back to these Celeres, particularly at the time they got countercharged by the Barbarians, we actually completely finished the unit off. But we lost our dogs, and that was kind of what I was planning on using against these pikemen over here. So that kind of ruined that plan for me. But we still had a handful of Barbarians left. So I thought, well, we might as well get in the cap circle. They've adopted quite a tight formation, which was good on their part. I was thinking, oh, we could come around here, but of course we can't because they've got them at the back there. So I sort of try and cluster together a bit and sort of thinking about what I wanted to do. I was sort of seeing this side flank here. I'd probably take some casualties hitting the front, but I could do this. We're winning convincingly enough that I'm not too badly threatened, and since we're about to cap out anyway, I thought it might be quite good fun to try and get a little bit of extra damage in. So I think in a minute I'm going to try and sneak around this flank. I was unsure if I wanted to or not, but I wanted to because, you know, we're about to actually get the base capture. and I thought it might be a good time to get a bit of extra damage in. Our allies obviously throwing torches against these guys. On here I come. Fortunately with the building it means I can't get quite the angle I wanted, but I'm able to push the units through and around a bit. Yeah, we lose a few at the front, but then we get some on the side of them, and that kind of means they're a bit stuck then, because they can't actually hurt these guys unless they come out of phalanx, and if they come out of phalanx then they're fully vulnerable to everyone else. These Romans try the same thing, although they get a little bit more caught in the front. But during this time obviously we're about to capture anyway, and it just gives me a little bit of free damage on the back of this pikeman. That was quite a nice little ending to the game. And then we're just about to cap out. Unfortunately, I think this is a playstyle of sort of waiting to the very last, leaving all your men in base, not really getting involved in the battle, and just holding to the end doesn't really work, because you're then completely alone, and because you know the enemies get time, like me, to sort of pick and choose how I want to fight. You know, we can target the enemy as we want, which we have done, you know, in this case. So even though these guys are really effective at defending, you know, we've got barbarians who can throw fire at them and that sort of thing, so they're never really going to be able to win. Finally, I notice these guys are facing that way, so we can get a little bit of a fury charge into the rear. Don't get a lot of damage on it, but there we go, you know, nice little engagement. These guys then try and pull back through us, but they're trying to pull back through a massive unit of phalanxmen. So how was that going to work? I don't know, and they get absolutely mullered. But we managed to pour a little bit of damage on it at the end as well, so not too bad for us. I'm sure we capped this one out, and because there was quite a few allies actually, yes, quite a few allies now in the enemy base. We're just capping out, we're routing the last couple of pikemen. They try and run away. So yeah, I think they would have been much better off getting stuck into the battle earlier on, perhaps. You know, they could have come down here and supported this flank a bit more. Sitting in base generally doesn't really work out very well, although it can be fine to retreat to as a last sort of ditch defence. There's a couple of enemy, what have we got over here? A couple of enemy Principes in our base sort of fighting on, but again, you know, they're not fighting anything. There's only like a handful of them left, and that's all that's left of the enemy team, so we've definitely got this one in the bag. Pikemen actually down here, they finally managed to get a bit of a better position. They managed to get these Principes facing them frontally, and then they managed to be brutally effective. This is why you don't want to face pikes on the front. Look how devastating they are. And the Romans can't even swing a sword at them, and they're just being absolutely cut down. And if they get close, they get nudged back by the shields anyway, so they can't do anything. Look at that, ruthlessly effective. But to no avail, since we got into the base and we captured them out anyway, and we had a really good game. But the Phalanxmen just managed to overtake us for top player at the end of the match, but still we got over 6,000 points, so I was pretty pleased with that. So yes, I'm not going to show. It's not going to show me the battle statistics, unfortunately. But I have to say, War Dogs Tier 5, really good. Wild Wolves, I'm very much enjoying them. I find them really good to play. It describes them as actually being hard, but I'd actually say they're kind of, once you've got the hang around that sort of initial having 2 units to control, they're actually quite beginner friendly, because, you know, if you mess up and throw your dogs away, you've still got these barbarian warriors who are actually fairly effective in combat. You know, it's small combat units, and you still got full control of them, so it almost gives you like 2 lives. So big fans of these guys, and once they're into combat against units, you know, the dogs are ruthlessly effective. So I highly recommend going down this tech tree. Hopefully I'm going to try it out with Arminius shortly, and then we'll probably have a video comparing Boudica versus Arminius using War Dogs, see which one I sort of prefer, see which one I get better and better with. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a like. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you like the Wild Wolves as well? Or are, you know, do you prefer Boudica, or do you prefer them with Arminius? Thanks guys, and I shall see you all on the next episode.